Imagine you're home alone, late at night. You hear a floorboard creak upstairs, but you dismiss it as the house settling. What if it wasn't the house? What if it was the inspiration for the most terrifying monsters in cinema, and he was standing right there, in the shadows of your own home? In the quiet, rural town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, in 1957, something truly evil was uncovered. Authorities investigating a local disappearance went to the isolated farmhouse of a man named Ed Gein. He was just a quiet, unassuming handyman, a loner, completely normal. At least, that's what everyone thought. But inside his home, they found a nightmare. Human skin lampshades, skulls made into bowls, and a suit crafted from human flesh. Gein wasn't just a grave robber. He was the real-life monster who would inspire Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the Silence of the Lambs. The most disturbing part? His calm, matter-of-fact confession. He saw nothing wrong with what he did. So when you hear that bump in the night, ask yourself, what really separates us from the monsters we see on screen?
You lock your door at night, thinking you are safe. But what if the real monster is already inside your community, wearing the face of a friend? On a perfectly normal evening in the Levant region, families were settling in for the night. The streets grew quiet. The lights went out one by one. But by morning, a shadow had fallen over the community. A child had vanished without a trace, snatched from their own home while their parents slept just rooms away. Suspicion immediately fell on a disgruntled local with a known temper. The town was certain they had their man. But as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered something far more disturbing. The real monster wasn't a stranger. He was a pillar of the community, a man no one would ever suspect, hiding a darkness that defied all logic. After his arrest, he confessed to dozens of unspeakable crimes, yet the bodies were never found. So, what truly happened to his victims, and how could one man deceive so many for so long?
Imagine you're at your 6-month dental checkup. The lead apron feels heavy, the room is sterile, and the only sound is the low hum of the X-ray machine. It's a completely normal, routine visit. But what if that simple, mundane image was the only thing left to prove you ever existed? On the morning of September 11th, 2001, thousands went to work in the World Trade Center, just like any other day. Then, in an instant, they vanished. Amidst the chaos and rubble, identifying the victims seemed an impossible task. Investigators turned to the most unlikely of sources, believing family members held the key. But they were wrong. The real key was hidden away in quiet, suburban dental offices. Forensic odontologists began the painstaking work of comparing post-mortem X-rays with the ante-mortem records of the missing. A single, unique filling, an oddly shaped route, a tiny imperfection in the enamel. These were the details that gave names back to the nameless. It wasn't a killer they were hunting, but an identity pieced together from shadows on a film. How many unique, unchangeable markers are hidden inside your own smile, waiting to tell your story?
Imagine you're out in your garden on a sunny afternoon. The smell of fresh-cut grass, the satisfaction of a well-tended yard. It's a completely normal day. But what if the very product you trusted to keep your garden pristine was hiding a deadly secret? For decades, millions used Roundup, a weed killer found in almost every garage. It was sold as safe, a household staple. But then, people started getting sick. Gardeners, farmers, and groundskeepers, all diagnosed with the same aggressive cancer. They all had one thing in common: Roundup. The company, Monsanto, insisted its product was harmless, pointing to regulatory approvals as their alibi. But then, internal documents were leaked, revealing they knew about the cancer risks for years and did nothing. $1 billion corporation, a trusted product, and a trail of sickness they tried to bury. They were found liable, forced to pay billions, but the product is still on shelves. So the next time you reach for that weed killer, you have to ask yourself, How much is a perfect lawn really worth?